Jenica.
She's not out there? I'll go get it in a second then.
Okay. I tried it because I scanned and documented the fit. Yeah, it's in there. I'm surprised it's going. Well, it's going, it's working.
Hi, Mama.
Okay, look.
Credit card.
Yeah, it's in there. Perfect. I'll return.
This is your I just put my last set of vitals for 7. I tried it on the
Oh,
test
you
at
did
7.
it.
Hello everyone and welcome back. I am so excited. Today's video, I am finally sharing my labor and delivery story. A lot of you have been asking how my labor went and how it all came about the day that she was born. So I am so excited I finally get to sit down and have a little bit of time to share with you guys all the amazing details about everything that happened that day. But before I do get started, I just wanted to say thank you guys all so much for all these sweet messages you guys have been sending me. I am so thankful for all of you that are on here and watching me throughout this entire time, in my entire journey. I honestly cannot believe that we are already at this point to where we are home and I have baby girl here at home with me and enjoying moments day by day, because I know this newborn stage is gonna go by so fast, and it makes me sad already to know that she's already about to be a week old this upcoming weekend. So let me get into my story. So this happened last weekend on, I believe, Sunday. Oh, I actually was babysitting for my sister that day as well, so I had 3 of her kids. So by that night I was super exhausted. In the evening, once they were all gone out of the house, I made dinner, and then I was on my treadmill for a little bit. I think I was on it for about 45 minutes to an hour. For some reason that evening, I'm like, you know what, let me just drink a bunch of water and eat something, because I was starving. Literally after dinner, I was starving at 10 o'clock. I was like, you know what, let me make myself something to eat. So I made myself something to eat, went and hung out with my husband, and then that night, for some reason, I was like, you know what, let me download the contraction app, because I've had it before, and I said, you know what, I'm getting so close, by Sunday I'll be 40 weeks. And so I downloaded the app and I just logged in my information, and I just wanted to make sure I had it on hand. Well, that night I had this weird feeling in my gut like something's gonna happen. Well, sure enough, that next morning at 4 in the morning, I started getting these like sharp pains, but I didn't tell my husband. I didn't tell him anything like what was going on. So around 4:30 was when I was like, oh, I need to go pee. I got up, and kid you not, a gush of water just came out, and I freaked out. I like nudged on my husband. I'm like, hey babe, like I'm pretty sure my water just broke. Like, what do I do? And then he gets up freaking out of bed, and he's like, babe, what do I do? What do I do? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just gonna go to the bathroom and clean myself up. The reason I freaked out the most is because my water has never broke with any of my children. And this being my 4th, I kind of freaked out. I didn't know if it was my water or not. Like, I kind of second guessed myself. I wasn't sure if that's what it was, or if like I peed myself, because I drank a bunch of water the night before. My husband gets up, he goes to the bathroom, you know, right after me, and he's over there like, are you okay? Like, what do I need to do? And then out of nowhere, he just goes back to the room. I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna call my mother-in-law, because my first instinct too, after I got myself cleaned up, is let me call my mother-in-law, because she needs to come and watch the kids. Come into the living room, and I call my mother-in-law, and she doesn't answer. And I'm like, out of all the days your phone is off, like seriously, I'm about to have a baby and you're not answering. My contractions start to like get intense. I'm like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? So then I call my sister-in-law, and I'm like, hey, like your mom's not answering. Can you tell her, like, I'm pretty sure my water just broke. Like, I need her to come over here. And then I hear her walk over to her mom's, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm on the phone with Marcus. And I'm like, oh my God. Obviously we were like both panicking that we didn't communicate to one another that we were both calling his mom. So I hung up on her, because I was like, okay, you know, they know, they'll come over here as soon as they get dressed or whatever. My contractions started getting like intense, and I'm like, either I shower now or I shower when they get here. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna wait. So he showered, and then as soon as he was done, my mother-in-law showed up. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna shower. All the kids are still sleeping, like nobody should be getting up right now. Let me shower, and then we're gonna head to the hospital. And I shower, and I'm just like, in between contractions, I'm showering really quick, and then I get a contraction, and I'm just standing there like, oh my God, please pass with this. And then I'm in so much pain. Like half of the time I'm like, should I call my mother-in-law and tell her to come help me shower, or should I just shower on my own? So I just continue to shower. Finally, I get out, my husband's already dressed, and then my son wakes up, and I feel so bad. I'm like, oh, my poor baby, he like heard me. Mind you, this is like 5 o'clock already. By that time, he's awake, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I started freaking out because I'm like, my poor baby's not gonna, you know, want to sleep if he sees me leave. So then they turn on the TV for him, get him his bottle. I start getting dressed, and then we get ready to head out. So this was like about 5:10, 5:20. We left our house, and the hospital is about 15 to 20 minutes away, depending on traffic. I get on the freeway, my husband is like racing there. I'm like, please don't, like, you're stressing me out because you're speeding to the hospital. Like, let's get there safely, take your time. But of course, he was freaking out the most because I told him my water's never broke. So obviously to him, it was like, we need to go. You need to be there already. 2 lights before we get there. The light was yellow, and he was gonna take it. I'm like, please don't run a red light right now. Like, for that, we finally got there, and then he parks next to the emergency because this was like at 5 in the morning. The hospital's not open, like the main entrance is not open. So he runs to the emergency room, grabs a wheelchair. So while he's doing that, I'm sitting in the car, like parked, like waiting, like I'm over here, like holding on to everything, like, oh, like taking in the contractions. And then there's a car next to me. It was a Tesla. I remember it vividly. It was a black Tesla. And there was a guy in it, and he was watching me the entire time I was having a contraction. I'm like, oh my God, this guy probably thinks I'm like hurting myself or like in so much pain. I don't know what this guy's thinking. Well, next thing you know, he like gets off, and he comes knocking on the window like, hey, are you okay? I unlocked the doors because I was a little worried. I unlocked the doors. I'm like, yes, like I'm having a baby. I think like my contractions are really bad. Like, I'm just waiting for my husband to get the wheelchair. And then he's like, okay, let me help you. So he helps me off the car. And then by that time, my husband gets there, and he's like, you know, I got her. So then he puts me in the wheelchair, and then my husband starts to get the bags out of the car. I said, honey, get the bags because we have paperwork in there that we need to give to the hospital. Well, while he was grabbing that, the guy pushed me to the emergency room. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. Like, this guy is over here pushing me that I don't even know. He was pushing me there, and he's like, you know what, breathe through the contractions. He's like, I've been through this many times as well. My wife, we've had 6 kids, giving us his whole life story. And then we finally get to the emergency entrance. We walk in, my husband takes over. I said thank you to the guy, and then like he left. The ladies are like, what's your name, blah blah blah, and I'm like, here's my medical information, like take it, like all my information's on here, just get me to the back. Well, they finally wheel us to the back. They told me to get undressed. I finally get undressed, and then I get into the bed with a gown. Both babies are crying. Let me pause and continue. Where was I? So I get into the bed, and you know, I'm undressed. I got my gown on, my hospital gown, whatever. I'm in the bed. This was like about 5:45. Start hooking up my IVs and everything, and then one of the nurses, I swear, she kept poking me, and she could not find my veins. I'm like, how can you not find my veins? Like, you can clearly see them. Like, I was so frustrated. My husband's like, do you got it? Like, and in between contractions, she was doing it. So I literally we had to wait for a contraction, and then she poked me again and finally got it, whatever. And then they call the doctor. Of course, he's on call. We had to wait for him to get there. And then it was probably like about 5:50. I was like, oh my gosh, like, I think she's coming. Like, I had the urge to go number 2. Like, literally, like, I'm like, something's coming out. Like, it's either the baby or I'm about to freaking poop myself. And my husband told me, he looked at me in the eyes. He looked at me. He's like, honey, if you need to go and the doctor's not here, go. And then you hear one of the nurses like, no, she needs to wait for the doctor. Like, he's almost here, you know, have her wait a little bit. Don't push just yet. And my husband literally looked at me again and was like, honey, we're on your time. Go. If you need to go, go. Whether if you need to go number 2 or if you feel like this baby's coming, go. And I'm like, okay, you know what? And literally I squeezed his hand. I'm like, honey, she's coming. And I start pushing. One contraction, and you could already see her head. The nurse is like, oh my gosh, her head. So then they all start freaking out. Everybody starts grabbing the pads and everything to put under me. So once the baby comes out, and then they got the baby's blanket and all that. Like they all started scrambling like all over the place. Pushed again, and I'm like, honey. I was literally relying on him because he was the one that was telling me, you know, breathe. Okay, go. Whenever you're ready, I'm here. And I'm like, I'm pushing. So finally, the second contraction, she was out. She literally flew right out. And then they started cleaning her up. They put her on my chest for a little bit. Probably like, so she was born at 5:55. And then like a couple minutes later, the doctor shows up and he's like, oh, you already had the baby? All this stuff. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Here with the baby, just hanging out. And then he's having me push a little bit, and then he was pressing on my belly to go ahead and deliver the placenta. So the only thing he really did was deliver the placenta. My husband finally cut the cord once the doctor delivered the placenta, which was fine. Then after that, she was here. She got all cleaned up. They weighed her and everything. Went by so fast. It was not medicated at all. I did not get an epidural. I did not get laughing gas. I did not get anything. It was pretty much like all my walking that I did throughout my entire pregnancy, walking for an hour at night, an hour in the morning, helped me so much to deliver the baby. I honestly, and I tell my husband this all the time, I'm like, I really have a high pain tolerance, and I think that's just the way I've always been. So it was a smooth delivery, to be honest with you guys. She woke up a little bit hungry, so she is eating, and which is so crazy to me that it went by so fast, and it was such a smooth delivery. Like out of all my babies, I feel like this was the smoothest and fastest one. And I honestly do feel that walking an hour at night, an hour in the morning on the treadmill really helped my laboring process and everything. I feel like my body knew exactly what to do, and I pretty much prepared my body to have the baby. So I'm so glad that I did what I did to help me. So I definitely recommend doing a lot of walking. That's pretty much my labor and delivery story. Like I said, it went by so smooth and so fast. I'm so glad I get to share this story with you guys. And I can't believe we're honestly here at the point to where like she's home, like she's here. And I'm so glad, and I'm super thankful, just so grateful that she's here, and everything went by super smooth. She came home healthy. She was born healthy. Glad that everything pretty much happened the way that it did. And of course, I'm so thankful for my husband, because honestly, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have waited for the doctor and not pushed. But I feel like when your body is ready and your body's telling you what to do, like, listen to your body. Don't wait because someone's telling you to wait. I feel like I would have been in even more pain if I would have waited. And you never know, what if the baby was stressed out? Because they didn't have me hooked up to anything. They would not let me push. They told me to wait for the doctor, and I'm like, in my head, I didn't say anything, but then my husband's like, you know what, we're on your time, go, you know, push. So again, super grateful that I have my husband with me. He's such a supportive husband, but getting a little emotional, I need to stop. I feel like lately I've been super emotional. Like I started crying randomly. But I know it's all these emotions from having baby and just having all these hormones, you know, build up and all that. But again, super glad we're home. I'm so happy to be home, to keep myself busy, even just getting ready for today, straightening my hair and just putting on a little bit of makeup just to feel somewhat normal and get like a little schedule going. Honestly helps me a lot. But again, thank you guys all so much for watching today's video. I will be making another video to introduce baby girl and give you guys her name and all the details of her weight and all that good stuff. First doctor appointment and how it went. So yeah, we are so glad to be home. After 24 hours, we got discharged to come home. Yeah, I will see you guys all in my next video.